Here I'm at the track. I managed to make the race, so here is part 71139. These are the carbon front arms, so the gullwing style arms for the buggy, but notice the angle here between the two versus the stock arms are just straight arms. So I have to replace them. I'm here between a race. So I just raced the qualifier 1, and after that I had to marshal and then race again and then marshal. We're not taking a break, so I have to go ahead and just finish this up. So the first thing, if you bought one of these trucks used, let's say you bought an SC6.1. If you bought an SC6.1, these parts fit. If you can get an SC6.1 for a very good price, don't bother buying the 6.2. There's no point. Or if you get a nice used 6.2, go for it. But let's just say you bought one. You have to remove the little retaining screw in the back. And once you do that, then you can drop the pin. So I'm just going to show how to do one arm, because if you do one arm, then you can do the second. But this is something I would recommend. There's a lot of people that will use short course. Sometimes they build the kit and never really use it, or they use it just a few times and then they have to sell it for whatever reason. Maybe their life changed somehow. That is always a possibility. Now on the other side, there's a tiny little hole. I just use the driver to sort of press in. A pick is a lot better because it's thinner, so you can push out on that pin farther. In this case, I'm going to have to use pliers to pull that little pin out, and that will release everything. One thing you have to be careful though, do not drop the little spacer. Don't lose the little plastic spacer. It's right there in the camera near my hand. I'm not worried about it. After that, remove the 2 screws for the bumper right on the top, because here, if you remove this little retaining screw, I'm going to show you, the pin is not going to be able to come out all the way because of the chassis. That's the reason why. Now here for this truck, the bulkhead that I do have the steel bulkhead, not the plastic one. I destroyed the plastic one with the little metal brace. So you have to loosen those 2 little oppressor screws, those 2 little set screws on top. I'm trying to see if I can push it out to show you. So if I use the pliers to try to pull it, see it's going to start hitting. But this is something that you're going to have to do. If you go to a race, sometimes you have to do quick repairs. And sometimes you may have questions, so you're going to bother a guy. Sometimes somebody's going to have questions for you, and they're going to talk to you while you're doing this. So just keep that in mind. Be nice to everybody. So I'm pushing the pin, taking it out. Just be willing to answer questions, help people out, and people are going to be willing to help you out. Here we go. So I'm going to disconnect the sway bar. That's something important. Just because I have the camera rolling, I don't want to get the flat head screw. Just take longer. But once that pops out, now I just need to remove the shock. I'd already taken the screw out, as you saw. But notice the difference between the two. Now these carbon ones do look a little gray versus the others, but it's going to drop in. Now, something later on that I'm going to do once I'm home, I don't have time here, is ream the arm. You should really ream it so that it's nice and loose and doesn't hang. Here we go. So that's the wrong pin. I need to put the right pin on there. That's one of the things too when you're rushing. Even when you're rushing, take your time. And the reason why is if you make a mistake, then you have to undo the mistake and then do it right. So that's going to take even more time. But this is the small little screw, so now I have to thread it. It hasn't been threaded prior. Something that you can do before installing the arm like this is just thread everything prior to installation. For some parts, I highly recommend that. It makes it easier to install them. But again, If you already have an SC6, good. If not, consider getting one. They're very nice, easy to work with. A lot of the parts are interchangeable with other bodies. But here we go. Here's the arm. Like I said, you should really ream it, and now comes the sway bar. Sway bar is pretty easy to attach. That's why those little knobs on the front arms and the rear has them as well. Do not cut them off. That's what they're for. They're for the link on the sway bar. Shock's going to go. Now there is a difference in the mounting position. If you've noticed, this one only has 2 holes for mounting, whereas the flat arms have 3 holes. So that is one of the differences in the suspension geometry. Now the reason why I'm going with these gull arms is because it'll drop the ride height, and I found out that it's a significant difference. Notice those 2 holes versus the 3 for the suspension, but also notice the angle on the arms. That's quite a difference. I mean, keep in mind that a small angle at a long distance will make a big difference. See that? That's the reason why I'm getting them. For that drop. Now I'm just going to finish this, and then I'm going to move on. I am going to show videos about, I'm going to show the sheets for my laps, just with my times for qualifier 1 with the straight arms and qualifier 2 with the gull arms. I believe there's a significant difference between the two. I felt more confident, more comfortable, and I was more consistent, as you will see. Well, my perspective with these, maybe because I felt more confident in taking turns and just going a little faster than before. So I do recommend these arms. It's something you should get. And then I'm going to show the running video. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of qualifier 1, but I do have footage of qualifier 2. One thing I'm going to recommend, though, I'll be honest, make sure that you have plenty of food and you're rested. I mean, this is late at night, so the final race is going to be too late. I'm going to be too tired. But notice the difference. On the right, you have the gull arm. On the left was the straight arm. There's quite a difference between the two. So now I'm using this ride height gauge. This one goes from 15 all the way to the bottom, and then you just click. Every click is a millimeter. It goes up to 19. So when I measured it before the arms, I was at just over 19 millimeters. Now I pulled this up, so I increased the height on the gauge, and I'm putting it under the chassis, but it's hitting the chassis, lifting it. That's why I keep pushing the truck down. I'm actually all the way down. Now it's at 15. So say about 15.5 ride height. So you get about 4 millimeter difference lower height as compared to before. Using my Team Associated SC6.2, these are my lap times. I've been working on it on tuning it. Unfortunately, I don't get that much track time, so every time I go, I always make one modification. Most modifications that I make per night would be 2. So I'll race the truck as is, change something, see if it works. If it did, keep it. If not, then change it back. That is why the process is so slow. But this was my very first run, so this is with the stock front arms, and that was my fastest lap, but that's pretty much a fluke. Well, not really a fluke. If I can't be consistent, I don't really care about this one. Average lap, 27.07 seconds. Top 5, 25.569. This is one that I would consider. And then top 10 average, 26.575. The goal is really to be as consistent as possible, and this is sort of a hot mess. I'm the third one. It says consistency 94.35, so I guess I wasn't that bad. I could have been worse. But these are the times. Now this is before I changed to the gull wing arms. Now once I changed to the arms, so this is qualifier 1. This is qualifier 2. So notice now that my fast lap, 24.573, is closer to my average as opposed to before. I mean, there was quite a gap. There's over a 2-second gap. Here, I'm within a second, which is still a lot, but it's a lot closer. Average top 5, 24.8. So now this is very close to my fast lap. Average 10, 25.095. Now I'm about half a second away from my fastest lap. So this was by far my better race, I would say. Consistently was only 94.9. I'm here on the third one. But if we look at all of these, if we go from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one right after the other, they're just under 24 seconds. Now everything else is a little higher. Up here, probably crashed. Over here, I was probably getting out of the way. Keep in mind, I'm running a 17.5 Phantom motor. One of the jumps, as you can see, I cannot make. So I have to sort of hop it. Now, my final race, I'll be honest, I was probably tired, hungry, did some not very wise decisions. I tried going, I replaced my pinion from a 21 to a 23 pinion. So this is the top guy, for example, and he's running a 13.5 motor. I forget what truck he's running. I believe he's running a Losi. But if you look at his fast lap is much faster. That's about 13 seconds fast. Sorry, 3 seconds faster than mine. Roughly, his average is 23.6, so about 2 seconds faster. Top 5, let's see, he's 21.9. And top 10 average, he is, what was that, under 3? About 2.5 seconds. So 1, I do have to improve. 2, I need to tune the truck a little more. But maybe I'll ditch the 17.5 for a 13.5. It is mod class, so I could go down to a 7.5, but I don't think that'll really help that much. I've seen this driver, he's very good with a 13.5. And these are just some of the laps. I was going to put the entire qualifying race, but then I couldn't find it. So these are some of the laps from the final race. So my truck is this one, the one in front. That red one is a 13.5, and the white one, I believe, is a 13.5 as well. So again, I'm the only 17.5 here. Now they're catching up to me. They're about to lap me. But notice it handles pretty well with the gullwing arms. Now I cannot make this quadruple, that quad. They can, so I have to go double, but I always overshoot the first jump, which just messes up the second one. But here I go. I mean, I'm not doing too bad. I'm very, very slow, so I lose a lot of time. And plus I make small little tiny mistakes. But here, this is where I lose quite a bit of time. Double, and the other guys are on the other side. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Please comment below.
Oh, my hair!